Why does failing make us stronger? Let's talk about that today on Stepping Out of Stuck.
Welcome to the YouTube show, Stepping Out of Stuck. I'm your host, Bonnie Brindle, the Anxiety Avenger.
And I'm Ted Simmons, the superhero Shyness.
And together we
Help you.
to get unstuck.
Let's get at it.
Okay, Ted, you want to know
So
why failing makes us stronger?
I I saw a video on YouTube about a class on failing, and it really spoke to me. I realized that in order to succeed, we first have to fail at something.
Hmm.
And we in failing, we actually end up learning something. And that that really spoke to me because I did a lot of failing in my life. I did a lot of prevention against failing as well. And in shyness, what I found was that I was preventing myself from doing something that I could fail at. All these social interactions, all these other things, I was basically preventing myself from interacting so that then I wouldn't fail.
Oh, you were really avoiding the possibility of failing.
I was totally avoiding failing. I didn't want to fail at all. I didn't want to feel that anxiety of being a failure. I was my mom, as I'd mentioned before in this thing, my mom always said, "That's stupid. You don't do that. That's stupid." And, you know, I felt stupid because of that. And therefore, it made me fearful of failing.
Okay. I can see that. If you were already conditioned to be told that you were wrong and bad and stupid or whatever those words were, if you were already conditioned to that, you were set up to avoid walking into that possibility. Is that what you mean?
Exactly. Yeah.
Oh.
I was, I'd even say that um, I it became a fear, right? It became a fear of not succeeding. And that, of course, is an anxiety as well, right? Anxiety of not succeeding, and therefore not participating was the key there. But what changed that was basically when I started realizing that I needed to fail, I needed to try, I needed to, everyone hates that word. I needed to and do something and then suffer the consequences. Right?
Oh,
And you
yeah.
did the you don't explore, you're not able to succeed at something unless you do it. And in doing it, you have the possibility of failing,
Uh-huh.
and the failure is actually part of the learning process of how we succeed at doing it again and again and again. And that was eye-opening to me. Um, yeah. So is there something that you felt that you had failed at, that you learned from?
How much time you got?
Right?
Yes, I can think of a few examples. But something that just popped into my head right now is when I was working as a middle school teacher and I would see the kids that were very anxious and perfectionistic, unwilling to try new things that they weren't um, convinced already that they would be good at. I saw that a lot in kids. It made me really sad because so many missed opportunities by not just trying something out and jumping in and seeing what happens, right?
Right.
Being willing to learn something new. Um, yeah, that was something I worked with kids on a lot. Failure. Yes, I have a list. I can't say though that I avoid a lot of things in order
Mhm.
to keep myself from failing, I've jumped into a lot of things and been really, forward with them, expecting that things would turn out great. I've always said to myself, "Why not shoot for the moon? You're gonna miss or you're gonna hit it, whatever."
Mhm.
Right? So, in a lot of places, I've done that and failed miserably. But in places where it really cost me, oh boy, yeah. Um, I actually write about this in my book, Cracking the Crazy Maker's Code.
Mhm.
When it was very difficult for me to get into college, it was difficult to get past the belief that I could even do that. My family wasn't in any way supportive of pushing me along to go to college after high school. And I got into a college that I really wanted to be in the program for equine science and business. I was so excited.
Mhm.
And my anxiety had really started to uptick through high school and into that age. And it was so meaningful to me. I wanted it to work out so badly. So I was so focused on it working. It's almost like a perfectionism, I guess, because I really finally got there, wanted it to work out, and I became so anxious I couldn't go to class or stay in class after a while, and that built up, and I dropped out. And to me, someone who loved school, who's very education focused, dropping out of college was like the biggest failure I could think of happening
Well,
to me. Like
oh,
the
yeah.
worst. It was my rock bottom.
Yeah.
And when you ask the question, how does failing make us stronger? It didn't make me happier at the time,
Oh, no.
but it did bring me to the point where I realized my anxiety was bigger than me, and I had to do something about it. It made me dig within myself stronger to reach out for the help that I needed and get back on a track and move forward again and get back into college programs and blah, blah that came later. But it was
Mhm.
about finding that strength in myself to look at it and say, you need to reach out for help with this and taking the strength to actually do that. So, yeah, it did make me stronger in that way for sure.
Nice. Okay, so failing, you grew and learned from your failure,
I
right?
did. At one point, I wasn't sure I could go forward from it because it was that big of a failure, but I grew from it. Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah, I totally relate to that. I I can't think of an exact moment at this point, but I've definitely felt that. My failures were just the whole perfectionist thing of, not wanting to be embarrassed
Mm,
or to be, labeled or to be other things, and therefore not even trying was really the, um answer to that.
right. How can you be labeled as a failure if you didn't even step up to the plate?
Right?
That seems reasonable. Uh,
And
Let me throw this out and see if this triggers something, because I think
okay.
you had a thought that was similar to this.
Yeah.
Um, in my younger days, I was into show jumping on with horses, right?
Okay.
And so the thing that came up for me just now is over preparation, and I bet you've done this. Over prepared for something that meant a lot and end up causing yourself to fail. So in that
Mhm.
context, when you're going to show jump on horses, you walk the course first because you have to have a certain order of the jumps and timing and all that.
Mhm.
And so I would walk the course. I would draw it on paper. I would reflect on it in my mind. I would just do everything to memorize it. And then because I was so anxious about keeping it memorized, I would get out there on course and I would go in the wrong direction. I'd skip a jump or go the wrong way or whatever and get myself disqualified
Mhm.
because I was so over prepared that I was stuck in my head and caused myself to fail in that way.
Oh,
Is
yeah, no.
over preparation something that you've done to cause
Oh
yourself
my
to
god.
fail?
Yeah, yeah, you're speaking to me.
I thought
I
so.
I definitely had flashbacks of, going through and taking the SATs, and, my own personal journey with that was that, I never felt like I learned in any of the classes to actually prepare myself for the SAT. And then getting into the test, I just looking at the questions and going, "Do I even know that? Oh my gosh."
Oh, panic.
Getting
Oh,
the
panic.
yeah, test anxiety. And then just, the heart racing, the thing, blank mind because I couldn't even guess what it was. And then, going on to the next questions and then trying to figure those out. Yeah, no, I totally got into that with test
Yeah.
anxiety.
So you were
Totally.
over preparing for it and then
Yeah.
overwhelmed. Yeah,
Oh,
okay,
yeah.
same
Yeah.
thing. Same
Yeah. Yeah.
thing. Yeah, the words on the page start jumbling themselves and, looks like something you've never done before, all that testing anxiety, that's brutal. And again, as
Yeah.
an educator, I had to administer the state testing to kids. And
Mhm.
I've had kids so anxious they threw up in the trash can in class.
Oh,
Yeah, so I have my feelings about testing,
no,
that way,
yeah. Yeah.
standardized testing.
Totally.
But, yeah, that's a really good example. You get so worried about doing well in your show jumping or passing your test or whatever that you just grind yourself into a ball around it and fall apart before you even get started.
Yeah. And then so my hidden rule
Uh,
about this was if I don't participate, then I can't lose, right?
if you don't participate, you can't lose.
Yeah,
Makes
so if I
makes
don't take
makes
that
sense.
test, then I can't fail on that test. If
Mhm.
I don't interact with that person, then I can't fail with that argument. If I don't, all of these things, I just avoidance basically was my thing. What I learned was if I step into something and realize that I can fail and that it's okay to fail. Something like playing Monopoly with somebody who's really good at it, or playing poker with somebody who's really good at it. If I step in with my open mindset and my skills, my shy based skills of observance,
Mm.
I can go in and I can look and see what they're doing to succeed.
Ah, learning
And
frame
then,
of mind, learning frame of mind.
yes,
Okay.
and that
Yeah.
mindset changes how I'm dealing with something, right?
Oh, sure. Because there's always
I'm
gonna be somebody better than you at a task or a game
right.
or whatever, right?
Yeah, and it almost gives you back to that, Zen masters or something like that. They always have that lower ego of, "I always have something to learn," right?
There it
Uh,
is, there it is, the lower ego, I have something to learn instead of I have to show myself well here.
right.
Oh, yeah. Boy, that just took the heat out of failure for me, hearing you say that. Like, you're
Yeah,
showing up to do something, there's gonna be expertise around you from the people people come to me working with horses, and it's so second nature. The things that I do with horses, I don't even think of it half the time, and others are like, "I can't do this thing." Well, no, but you're here you can always learn from the person who has more expertise in a space than you do. Oh, okay. Yeah. That would help. I think that would help people consider not avoiding something once in a while. Like,
mhm,
okay, making a different choice than avoiding. How about just stepping into it and allow yourself to be open to learn, and then you'll be even better at it another time. I like
right?
that.
Yeah,
Yeah. And my hidden rule, because it wasn't so much about avoidance. I would try
mhm,
things. I would get into stuff. Sometimes it didn't work.
yeah,
Always I had to always be the more prepared than everyone else. I would prepare and over prepare. And
mhm,
when preparation tipped into over preparation,
mhm,
that's where my failure came through, because then I was in my head, right? Then I was allowing my anxiety to lead instead of just preparing and then taking time to just be settled and calm before going into that space, just to breathe and let it go, be out in nature, play with friends, do something to just be calm before stepping into that instead of the constant grind of I need to be more prepared. is such a big difference between preparation and over preparation for sure. I got caught up in that. That was my hidden
Right.
rule. Always be more
Yeah.
prepared than everybody else. So what's a takeaway you want our listener to leave with this subject today?
Failing makes you stronger. You can only learn from failing. If you don't fail, you can't learn something new.
Right? If you don't fail, you can't learn something new. And what about that? What about how you frame the old stuff that you bring forward that's now useful? You had a good way of framing that, I think, the last time
So
we
I
spoke.
yeah, okay. What I want people to remember is that what protected you gave you skills.
Mm.
When you understand them, you can put them to use, and those skills build lasting confidence.
So, like you mentioned, the skill of observation,
Mhm.
right? When you weren't participating, you were observing so you could learn before you step forward. Mm. And my wanting to be prepared for things is a legit skill that I just overused, right?
Right,
I don't wanna not be prepared.
right.
So, yeah, so over preparing was a protective thing I was trying to work on, trying to work with as a younger person. Taking that into a more balanced idea of preparing myself for things without overdoing it. Yeah, that fits, that makes sense to me.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, I encourage our watchers to like and subscribe and making comments. We've been getting some great comments. Love that. Um, Interaction is, of course, the best thing that we can do with each other is we can make ourselves stronger and bigger and bolder by learning from each other and learning what you like and what we like definitely helps. So please like and subscribe. Um, and other than that, we'll see you on the next episode.